To all the geeks and nerds out there, today I'd like to show you my brand new design for this Piglin bartering farm. With the release of 1.16, we can now give these guys, these brand new mobs, a gold ingot, and they will give us up to 17 different items in return. Now that is pretty cool. So stay tuned and I will show you how to build this thing, how it works, and I'll introduce you to this new mob, the Piglin. And here it is, the Piglin bartering farm. This is a super simple and expandable design. As you can see here, we have 6 piglins, but you can make this as big or as small as you like. And as you can see here, what happens is the gold is deposited above the piglins. They pick them up one by one and they inspect it for, for its quality. And once they are happy with it, they will drop some items which go through these hoppers and then into these chests. And here is a sample of the kind of things that you're going to get from this farm. Very useful stuff indeed. Now we'll talk about the numbers and the rates shortly. But before we get into it, let's talk about the Piglin because there's some important information you need to know before you build this farm. Before you can build your farm, you first of all have to find these piglins, and they are over here in the Nether, and they spawn in a few places. So they spawn over here in the Crimson Forest. They also sometimes but rarely spawn in the Nether Wastelands, which are over here. Piglins will also spawn in these brand new structures called the Bastion Remnants. They're made of black stone and they are found all over the Nether. So take a look around, find your spot, and then you can build your farm. As we know, piglins love gold, but they do not love players. So if you're not careful, they will come after you and kill you. That is, unless you're wearing at least one piece of gold armor, in which case they will pretty much ignore you. However, even if you are wearing gold armor and you try and open one of these containers, the piglins will not like that one little bit and they will try and attack you. Piglins will also get cross with you if you break any of these gold blocks, even if you're wearing gold armor. So watch out because they'll come after you. We do have a few things we can use to control these piglins, in particular soulfire. So any of these 4 types of soulfire will scare away the piglins. They run away as fast as they can. Piglins are also attracted to and will attack hoglins, and they will also do the same for wither skeletons, so maybe you can use that to control them as well. Piglins are also attracted to golden items on the floor, so we can use that to our advantage to get them into their cells. We can then use some gold items on the floor to lure these piglins into the farm. So lay a couple down on the floor and they can act as breadcrumbs, and then put a final one inside the cell just like this. So I've set this up with a hopper, a carpet on top with some blocks around it, and a redstone block there to lock the hopper so it doesn't suck in the items. And then when the piglin goes in, just give him a little nudge, push him into the cell just like that, and then you can lock him in place. The last thing to cover is that you're going to have to build this farm in the Nether, because in the overworld it's not going to work. And that is because when a piglin comes through a portal and goes to the overworld or the end, they will start shaking and then turn into a zombified piglin. And unfortunately, they do not barter for gold. And so let's see this bartering in action. If we give one of these guys a gold ingot, he will come over to it, he will inspect it for a few seconds, and then he will throw us some goodies in return. Here he comes, ready. There we go. We've got another brick, and yeah, so we can keep doing this. And as long as you keep supplying them with these gold ingots, they will keep supplying you with some gifts in return. What's next? What's next? Ah, some soul sand. Nice one. Thanks, buddy. After our trip to the Nether, the first thing to mention is that this farm has been designed for Java Edition 1.16. Now, it may well work for other editions such as Bedrock, but I haven't tested it, so give it a try and see if it works. As you can see here, we've got a bunch of things to talk about, and you may well notice we're in the overworld. And I did just mention that these piglins, when they come to the overworld, will transform into zombified piglins, but these guys aren't. And the reason for that is I've given them a special tag, so they are immune from zombification. Now, that's not something you can do in survival, but I've done it here just so we can do it in the overworld, because things are much easier to see, and I think it'll make for a better tutorial. Anyway, let's get into this, and let's explain how this farm works. Here we have a piglin in a 2x1 cell, and the first thing to tell you is make sure you name these guys with a name tag, because if you don't, they will despawn. So if you don't want your piglins to disappear, make sure you do that. Make sure you use your name tags. But what we need to do now is we need to talk about how they can reach their items. And there's one important trick with this farm, and that is a piece of carpet. If you don't have a carpet underneath the piglin, then they're a little bit lower down. And if you were to throw some gold right there, he can't actually reach it. He's just too far away, and he can't reach that gold. However, if you place him on a carpet just like this here and throw an item in, he can in fact reach it. So if you take a look at that, there he goes. He grabs it and he can inspect it and yeah, throw us some goods. The problem with this is that you can't put a block right on top of him like you normally would just by placing it. If I try and place a block there, it doesn't actually work. So what you need to do is get him in his 2x1 holes like this, and then use a piston above to push down the glass on top of his head like that. And that's how you get a piglin into this shape cell. So far our piglins have been standing on glass, and of course that's no good because we want to collect the drops that they give us, the special gifts. So what we actually need to do is to put this guy on top of a hopper and put the carpet on top of that, and then our collection will go underneath. So there's nothing in there at the moment, but if we throw him one of these gold ingots, he will pick it up, and after about 6.5 seconds, roughly speaking, he will inspect it for its quality, make sure it's all good, and then he'll throw some items. They will go through this hopper and into the chest. There we go, got some magma cream. So this is the first thing. That's how we do the item collection for this piglin bartering farm. That is all well and good, but we don't want to be standing around throwing gold at these piglins. We want it done for us automatically. So how do we do that? Well, we've got our piglin in this 2x1 cell as we saw before, but if you change the top block here for a solid block, you can then put any wood pressure plate on top of it, and then behind it we have this kind of 2x1 hole again. You can surround this by glass so you can see what's going on, but it doesn't have to be. And then at the back of this solid block have a redstone torch, which is going to power this solid block here, and then above it have a dropper facing into this hole. So inside the dropper, that's where you fill this up with all your gold, and then it's just a case of turning this thing on. And to do that, just press a button right here, and that will dispense the first item. The piglin picks it up, and then there's another one waiting for him. So as soon as he's finished with this item, he'll pick up the next one straight away. There's no waiting around. So this is as fast as it possibly can be. There's no delay. There's also no redstone clocks or timings to worry about. No special locking of hoppers. This is just super simple. So the way it works, if you watch this closer, you'll see that the item comes out and stands on a pressure plate, which depowers the torch. When the piglin picks it up again, it allows it to go up slightly, and then the redstone torch turns on, which powers this block, which activates the dropper, which spits out another gold item, another gold ingot, ready for the next time around. And this will keep going forever until you run out of gold. And of course, all the items go through the hopper underneath and then down this hopper chain. Now, when you're doing these hoppers, make sure they're underneath each other just like that, and then they point into these chests. And the way the hoppers work is that they take a downwards priority first, so items will go all the way down to this hopper first and then into this chest, and then once this chest is filled up, it will then take this hopper and go into this chest, and then of course your items will be in here ready for collection. If you don't have a great supply of gold, then this version of the farm is probably all you need. Just one piglin and a couple of very basic redstone components. If you've got a bit more gold, you can add a hopper on the top with a chest, and that will keep you going for quite some time. But if you want to take it to the next level, we have some extra considerations. The main consideration is what happens if all of your storage underneath gets filled up. Well, if you don't do anything about it, you're going to end up wasting a whole bunch of gold, because the gold will keep coming out. The piglin will keep picking it up and throwing items down. They will end up just staying on top of this hopper and despawning. So we don't want to waste our gold. We don't want to waste any drops. So I've added here an auto shut off system. So this is a very simple circuit. So let me talk you through it and show you how it works. So here we have our hopper that the piglin stands on, and then behind that you put this comparator. Leave 3 blocks so you can have 3 redstone dust. That goes into any solid block. On top of that you have a redstone torch. On top of that another solid block, and then a piece of redstone right here. That has a sticky piston next to it. Show you that. There we go. A sticky piston with a solid block, and that is the solid block that goes underneath the dropper as before. And then just as before, we have our dropper with gold in it, a hopper on top, and then a double chest with even more gold on top. So that keeps us going for a very long time. Now the level that this shuts off is that once you get to 46 items in this hopper, that is going to when it shuts off. So let me show you this. If I take one item out, you'll see that engages the system again, and the gold comes in. The piglin will pick it up as normal and will throw some items down. They go into the hopper, but now there's too many items, so you saw there that it automatically shut off, retracted that block right there, and you can see the items have still gone in here. We haven't lost anything, so there's no wasted gold, and of course there's no wasted items on the floor. And that brings us back to our 6 piglins, and let me show you how to connect a whole bunch of these together if you've got, an insane amount of gold coming in. So here we have each of these slices are exactly the same as what you've already seen. We've got all of the chests underneath, we've got the hoppers, we've got the shut-off system behind, all exactly the same. So you could just build those for as many piglins as you've got, and for all the gold. We'll talk about rates and how much gold you need to supply in a second. But along the top, all you need to do is add a hopper on top of your dropper with the gold in, and on top of that have a row of hoppers that go all the way along, just like this, and then they will feed each of these hoppers in turn. And of course, here you have your input of your your gold ingots. Of course, you're going to need some kind of gold farm to be able to produce enough gold, but that is how you link as many of these together as you like. And of course, for these six piglins, what's the rates? Well, they will produce around 27,700 items per hour. That is a lot. That is a lot of items with just 6 piglins. So think about how many you actually need, and that's going to depend on how much gold you have. So let's look at some numbers and let's see see how many items you're actually going to get. First of all, let's look at the gold. So how much gold do you need? Well, you are going to need about 9.5 stacks of gold ingots per hour per piglin if you want them to be constantly bartering and giving you items. So that's quite a lot of gold. So yeah, so think about how much gold you can supply in the time, and think about how many piglins you actually need. Of course, these ingots, normally when they come from gold farms, you'll get them. You get some of these drops from gold farms from zombified piglins, but you'll get mainly the gold nuggets, and of course they need crafting, so there's a bit of manual work required. So yeah, just think about how many you actually need to supply your farm. But yeah, 9.5 stacks of gold ingots is what you need per piglin per hour. And so what will that gold investment do for you? Well, it will give you these 17 items. So I've got them on the board here listed from most drops all the way down to least drops. So let's take a look at the numbers so you can see what to expect. So you'll get around 683 nether brick. You'll get around 600 soul sand. You'll get around 478 gravel. For these iron nuggets, you'll get around 442. We've got leather around 400. String around around 400. Nether quartz, that is a good one, around 400 as well. Fire charges 187. Ender pearls around 176 per hour. We also get glowstone 145 per hour. Magma cream 132 per hour. We have crying obsidian, that is a new block in 1.16, around 125 per hour. We also get obsidian, the normal variety, and that is a good one. No one likes mining obsidian, so here you'll get 56 per hour, roughly speaking. Over here we've got some fire resistance potions, the drinking variety and also the splash variety. For the drinking variety, you'll get around 10 per hour, and the splash around 9. Over here we have these iron boots that are enchanted, and they're enchanted with a new enchantment for 1.16. That is the soul speed enchantment that allows you to move a lot faster over soul sand, and that will give you a random level from soul speed 1, 2 or 3. You'll get about 8 of those per hour. The last item is this book. That is an enchanted book with the soul speed enchantment. Again, random level from 1 up to 3, and you'll get about 5 of those per hour. So in total, for 1 piglin per hour, you're going to get about 4,620 items. That is a lot. So that is the item breakdown, all the items you can get, all 17 of them, and roughly speaking, the numbers, the rates you'll get of each item. So I tested this over here in this world for around 5 hours, and that's the average that I got. Your exact numbers will vary slightly, but that's what you should expect. The last thing to mention is a quick note about the item collection system. So what I've got over here is, as you've seen, is a whole bunch of chests underneath each piglin. So each piglin has a dedicated line of hoppers. What you might be tempted to do is to do something like this, where you have hoppers underneath all of the piglins and then put them into one central location. Maybe have some item sorters, that kind of thing. But just be careful with that, because you might end up with items backing up. So as we saw over here, for 1 piglin, you're going to get 4,600 items per hour. Now, one single hopper can only transfer 9,000 per hour. So that even if you had just 2 piglins going through one hopper, that will then eventually start backing up. So the more piglins you have, the backing up will occur, because obviously when this guy drops items, it goes along this guy and also this guy. So this hopper here is going to be the bottleneck that will start backing up items. So just be aware of that. Be careful. Maybe if you don't want to do these kind of hoppers over here, this kind of storage over here, should I say, then maybe you can have some other solution underneath, depending on how many items you have. I suspect that for most players, a few chests underneath will be enough. But if you are going to go crazy and have lots of piglins and a lot of gold coming in, you might want to have some specialized shulker box loaders, that kind of thing. But of course, they will be mixed items, so you'll need some special logic to take care of those. But I'll leave that up to you. That's down to your playstyle, and if you want to go really big with this kind of thing. But yeah, as I say, for most players, a few chests underneath will be enough. So there we have it, my super simple Piglin bartering farm for 1.16. There'll be a link in the description to a world download if you want to check this thing out for yourself. It should be pretty straightforward, but yeah, that is there in case you need it. Now, I'm really looking forward to building this in survival, which I'll be doing very soon indeed on the Legacy SMP server. That's a server I play on with a bunch of friends. There is a series on my channel, so if you want to see me build this in survival and see how easy it really is, then yeah, check that out. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope the tutorial was useful. And if you did, then please hit the like button. And if you're new, then feel free to subscribe. And if you've got any comments or suggestions, then get it in that comment section. All right, my geeks, until next time, I will see you later.